everyone. Welcome to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Claire. Claire says, I struggle with justice due to something that happened to me 10 years ago. In that if someone assumes or thinks something about me, and I'm talking about stuff I know of, not stuff I've made up. So if someone says something about Claire and she knows that they said that, and it's not true, even though their reaction or opinion is based on their untrue thought, I feel like I need to plead my case rather than just let it go. I then go down the thought process of if they're sharing their beliefs with another person, because not everyone keeps their thoughts to themselves, does that one person become two and then three and so on and so forth? And I'm then painted in an unfair light. So Claire's saying that 10 years ago, something happened that she felt wronged by. And ever since then, when she knows that someone says something about her that's not true, she has a really hard time just letting it go, right? She really, like she says, she feels like she needs to plead her case and set it straight and get clear because she imagines them off telling a bunch of people and all of this spreading and people having all kinds of thoughts about her in their heads that aren't true. So Claire, I think absolutely no doubt you're not alone in this. Like this is why we care what other people think. Our mind makes up all these fantasies about unpleasant fantasies about how it's going to spread, and then we sit around and we're thinking what we think they're thinking, and then what we think they're thinking enough to tell other people and what they're going to be thinking. And there's a funny thing in this. I mean, part of it is that quote, if you knew how little people thought of you, I don't know the end of that quote, but it's something like that. If you knew how little people actually thought of you, and I don't mean you as a person, Claire, I just mean for all of us, if we realized how infrequently, not little in a negative way, but how infrequently people actually think about us and how little energy they really devote to forming and milking and getting all caught up in their opinions about us, we wouldn't worry about any of this stuff, because of course people say things just like we say things. We notice things about people, we might share them, we might say them, and then what does a mind do? Poof, right back to us. A mind will not stay out focused on another person unless there's a connection to us in it somehow. So meaning, like, I might ruminate about something my husband said or something about one of my kids or something, because that, and only because that feels like it's somehow connected to me. If I see my neighbor 3 streets over who I barely know walk out to take their garbage out in their underwear, I'm not thinking about that for very long. It has nothing to do with me. I don't care. I might think, whoa, that was crazy, and then I'm on back to thinking about me. And that's literally how minds work. It's not that we do that on purpose or, that we're egotistical, but we are the center of our own universe as far as our mind is concerned. So I think you have so much insight into this, Claire. I think for some reason it's one of those things that feels like you need to, like there's something left to see, or there's something left to kind of, that something big needs to shift around this or whatever. But you are so onto it because it's right here in the way you describe it. Something happened 10 years ago. Your mind starts thinking, not fair, not fair. Oh no, life is dangerous. People might think things about you. Now, mind you, remember 10 years ago, this is a very, very old story that has nothing to do with your life today. Nothing. It probably didn't have anything to do with your life 9 years and 350 days later. Like it is over so much quicker than we think it is. But the only place 10 years ago lives is in a thought that shows up in your head occasionally right now, Claire. That's it. Otherwise, it's done and over, and there's absolutely no impact of it. There really isn't. There can't be. All there is a thought now that comes up and reminds you, or doesn't even remind you, it's fresh thought right now in the moment that says, ooh, people might be saying stuff. Remember that thing that happened 10 years ago? Again, I really want you to feel into this. Everyone, like, feel this. Don't just listen to the words because your mind will gloss over it. Feel into the fact that there is no problem. There is no problem happening but for a thought that keeps coming up, telling you about bad things that probably are not happening. And even if they are happening, Claire, like let's say you go out and you find out, oh yeah, John came to work and he said, that you were a really bad person. And then John told these 4 other people at work that you're kind of a bad person. And so 5 people were over here saying, oh yeah, that Claire, she's no good. That can't, that does nothing. That does nothing. That's a thought in the heads of 5 people. And again, I absolutely promise, guarantee you, not for long, because they don't really care about some Claire person being a bad person. Their mind is going to automatically go back to them very quickly. They forget stuff. They don't care. Like people don't hold on to their opinions of us the way that we do, not even in the same universe, not even anywhere comparable. So sure, 5 people maybe for a second and part of their Tuesday said, oh yeah, that Claire, she's no good. And then bam, they're on with their lives. And here you are, just like this 10-year ago thing, here you are carrying it, reliving it. It's popping back up in your head and you're thinking, oh, it's because they said that. They heard this about me. They thought that. No, it's not that at all. Not even close. Like that may or may not have happened. It could have been 500 people. It could have been no one. It could have not happened. You would still be over here feeling your own thinking that's saying, oh my gosh, not fair. I need to defend myself. They think bad things about me. 100% of that, Claire, is just a thought popping up in your mind. That's it. Again, even if you know it happened. So, because I hear you trying to catch it on that. You have there's a little caveat in here where you're saying, oh, but I know they said that. Okay, fine. Like they can say it to your face. Still, we don't know how it's represented in their head. They're just spitting out words. They're just spitting out words. It doesn't mean anything. 100% of that emotion and heaviness and the way it lives on for you is that your mind keeps going back to it, and your mind doesn't just go back to it as a fact. Your mind goes back to it and ties it in with this thing from 10 years ago and gives it all this weight and meaning that I really, really want you to see this. It does not have. It does not have any of that weight in and of itself. It does not have any of that meaning in and of itself. It's just somebody's thought. And by the time it comes out of their mouth, they're on to the next thought, most likely. Like it has nothing to it. All of that heaviness and yuckiness that you're feeling is showing up in your head, and it's not transferable. It's not even comparable to what they're feeling, not even close. So the fact that you even started your question saying that all of this happens based on something that happened to you, like you can see that your mind does this habitual thing because of something that happened 10 years ago, I think is so insightful. And I think you know that, again, every single time, the answers in the question. So, okay, 10 years ago, again, like your mind just has this little habitual story that means nothing about now. That's what you really want to feel into and see. 10 years ago means nothing about now, like so completely different. But there's like, your mind will be familiar with that story and the way it sounds, and it'll make it sound like it's the same. So I hope this is helpful. Don't try to think your way out of this, Claire, because I think there's such a way, I just see this all the time, especially lately, that a mind won't let us go too deep. Like a mind will just be like, well, yeah, but those people, and they did think it. And or you hear this on a surface level. I'm seeing this like all over. It's like out of the woodwork where I can see when I talk to somebody, I'm pointing so deep to something and they're seeing it kind of up here. And it's not that it's not helpful. Like sometimes we see things up here and then they dip down a little bit and we really see them. But that's why I stop and challenge you guys to really say, hey, just really sit with this. There is no problem, Claire. There's nothing happening around you that has any problem. It's that you have this little habitual thinking that looks and feels real. That's the only thing. That's not even a problem, but it's the only thing creating any of your suffering around this. Just take everybody else out of the equation. Take 10 years ago out of the equation. Take your coworkers and your friends and all these people that might possibly talk about you out of the equation, and just see this as a clear thought. That's all it is, I promise. So I hope that's helpful. You are not alone in that, Claire, at all. We all imagine the whole world saying crap about us. And sometimes we have that urge to go defend ourselves, but all it is, that urge to defend yourself is just showing you, oh, you're really taking that thought seriously right now. Again, block the rest of the world out, take them out of the equation, and it lets us see things much more simply and clearly. So thank you for listening. I will see you back here next Monday.